Welcome back to Free to Pursue. My name is Hélène Massicotte, and I am bringing you another book review. This time it is The Little Book of Common Sense Investing by John C. Bogle. This book is for any investor looking to optimize their long-term investment returns. But not to worry, the readability on this book is very high. I wouldn't say that a book is usually called light reading when it comes to investment books, but in this case, this one really fits the bill. It contains a good number of charts, the good kind, not the eyes glaze over kind, tables, statement summaries, and excerpts to keep the reader engaged. And this compact little 216-page book definitely packs a punch. And that is why I was so pleased to be able to give it 5 stars. What I liked about the book is that it delivers what it promises. The cover suggests that we can learn how to get our fair share of market returns, and it delivers. The author is very clear throughout the book about what it is that we need to do, and most important still, he provides clear proof that the method he is suggesting will absolutely deliver. The results are not based on hype. They are based on common sense. It makes sense that those words are right in the title. Here's what I didn't like about the book. I'm always suspicious of books where the cover seems self-serving. And when I first picked up this book, I was ready to tear it apart for biased thinking. And it made sense to me that that was going to be my finding because John C. Bogle is the man behind Vanguard. Of course he would be providing information, compelling information, to steer the reader toward index investing. Well, as it turns out, I could not do that. Of course, you know that from the 5 stars. The book was so full of evidence of the power of investing in index funds that I found myself completely sold. And this compelling evidence included quotes from money management firms, leaders of those firms, admitting that index funds were outsurpassing, those returns were outsurpassing the average returns for funds in general. And a big part of it had to do with management expense ratios. That is the amount that you pay for an organization to manage a fund you're invested in. And Bogle makes it very clear that he actively looked for dissenters. And he has in the book a number of boxes titled "Don't Take My Word for It," where he obviously went out to seek individuals that we might be surprised are on side with his findings. The only item in the book that I thought was maybe questionable was his endorsement of target date funds. It seems that those have somewhat come out of favor because target for whom? Just because someone is of a certain age doesn't necessarily mean that his or her needs match someone else in that same age group. But that is a very minor point of contention given the fabulous information and proof included in this book. Bogle's method of proving his points is so exhaustive as to take any sort of fight right out of us. And my goodness, if every book that is trying to convince us to behave a certain way did that, they would all be fabulous. And maybe we would be more prone to change our behavior. Bogle wants us to be successful, and he does that by suggesting strongly that we work on 3 aspects of our investment savings. Bogle advises us to minimize fees. Fees that we pay on a yearly basis for fund management add no value to the overall value of our portfolio, and indeed what they do is they strongly erode our potential for future returns, because any percentages off our return means that those percentages of growth cannot compound because they've been removed from the equation. So our gross return means nothing. Our net return is what we should focus on. And Bogle stresses that we need to be very clear about all the fees associated with any sort of mutual fund we might be invested in. There are front-load fees, back-end fees, management expense ratios, and trading activity for actively traded funds, which erodes the fund's potential returns. And there can even be advisor fees. And if we think that we're giving up some benefit associated with funds that have higher fees, history has not proven that to be the case. And yes, Bogle definitely proves that point. I'll dispense with all the proof because that's most of the book. His ultimate secrets to investing: keep it simple by investing in low-cost funds, buy and hold for the long term, and work with an advisor that works for you and not against you by making a percentage of whatever he or she manages to sell you. Now that we've addressed how to minimize fees, how do we ultimately keep it simple? According to Bogle, most of the action taken in managing investment portfolios is actually unnecessary. So his favorite line is, don't do something, just stand there. And it's true, any activity when it comes to investments costs something. And if we're just patient and we let our investments do what they need to, we're usually quite pleased with the rewards. Again, index investing. Here's a quote from Bogle. "It may not be as exciting, but owning the classic stock market index fund is the ultimate strategy. It holds the mathematical certainty that marks it as the gold standard in investing. For try as they might, the alchemists of active management cannot turn their own lead, copper, or iron into gold. Just avoid complexity, rely on simplicity, take costs out of the equation, and trust the arithmetic." Page 135. And for the third leg of the stool, select fee-only advisors. As noted in the first point, fees kill a portfolio's returns. And that includes the fees we pay to our financial advisors. Now, Bogle does not have any issues with paying our financial advisor a fair fee, but he strongly distinguishes between a fixed fee paid for certain services and a commission. Because a commission means there is a conflict of interest, because the advisor will make more if he or she suggests services, as in funds, that hold a higher commission. If you don't know how your advisor is being paid, it's on commission. And really, the advisor doesn't make money unless they sell you something or sell a fund to invest in a different fund. If they do something, they make money from that activity. But as Bogle identified earlier, by not taking action is where you are more likely to make better returns. By selecting a fee-only advisor, you pay for the advice. You don't pay for unnecessary actions. And you never have to worry if the financial advisor has your best interests at heart. Those fees are often à la carte or as a percentage of portfolio under management. But if it's the latter, you should not keep paying a higher and higher percentage as your money grows. The percentage of fees under management should be coming down as your portfolio increases. And Bogle suggests certain ranges for the percentage you should be paying depending on the size of your portfolio. This book is the antidote to the overload of information, good and bad, that we have about investing. If there is one lesson from this book, a clear lesson, Bogle tells us that less is really more. When it comes to other books I would recommend, I would definitely suggest another book by this same author. The book is Enough. A lot of themes that he pulls from the investment world, he also applies to optimal living. And Enough, I think, gives you a sense that the less is more idea, Bogle also applies to everyday life. Here are some other recommended readings I have for you from different authors covering some of the themes that we find in this little book of common sense investing. I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi, Unshakable by Tony Robbins, The Behavior Gap by Carl Richards, The Simple Path to Wealth by J.L. Collins. Now for books about money and life, I recommend Your Money or Your Life by Vicki Robin and Joe Dominguez, The Millionaire Next Door by Thomas J. Stanley and William D. Danko, The Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey, Early Retirement Extreme by Jacob Lund Fisker, and Broke Millennial by Aaron Lowry. Thank you for joining me for this book review today. I hope you found it helpful. If you have any book recommendations in the investment category, I would love to hear them down in the comments below. And also, if you have any other favorites from John C. Bogle, I would love to hear. If you have a different opinion on the little book of common sense investing, I would also love to hear that as well. Thank you for your time today. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. But for now, take care.